Okay, so just imagine for a second. What if you lost everything? I mean, everything you hold dear, your home, your family, your health, and not because you did anything wrong, but because you were part of some kind of cosmic test. It is a terrifying thought, right? Well, that idea is at the very heart of one of the most powerful and honestly challenging stories ever told, the Book of Job.
I mean, this is the question, isn't it? It's something that has burned in the heart of humanity forever. If God is supposed to be good and all-powerful, then why? Why is there so much undeserved suffering in the world? We're going to dive into how this ancient story confronts that exact mystery head on.
Now, you'll find the book of Job in the Old Testament, but I gotta warn you, it doesn't offer any easy answers. Not at all. Instead, it just lays out this story of a man who loses everything, even though he's completely innocent, and it just forces us to wrestle with some of life's biggest, toughest questions.
All right, so to really get what's going on with this test, we first have to meet the man at the center of it all. Let's head over to the land of Uz, where we meet a truly legendary figure named Job.
The story goes way out of its way to make sure you understand just how incredible this guy is. I mean, look at this resume. He's not just a good man, he is blameless and upright. He fears God, shuns evil. He's called the greatest man among all the people of the East. He's loaded, 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels. He's a big, loving family with 10 kids. And get this, he regularly offered sacrifices for his kids just in case they had sinned in their hearts. That shows you a man whose faith is woven into every single fiber of his being. You couldn't find a more perfect subject for a cosmic test.
And boom, just like that, the scene completely shifts. We leave the dusty plains of Uz and get zapped up to the heavenly realms. This is where things get really interesting. Among the angels presenting themselves before God, let's just say, a very different kind of conversation is about to go down.
So get this, God himself brings up Job. He's basically bragging, holding him up as this trophy of faithfulness. Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one like him on the earth. But in this divine council, there's a figure known in Hebrew as Ha-Satan, which really just means the accuser or the adversary. Think less red-horned devil and more of a cynical prosecutor. And he basically says, sure, Job fears you, but does he do it for nothing? Of course not. You've blessed him. He argues Job's faith is purely transactional. Take away all that stuff you've given him, the accuser sneers, and he will curse you right to your face. And just like that, a wager is made.
Down on Earth, Job has absolutely no idea what's coming. And it all happens so fast. In a single afternoon, his entire world is just systematically dismantled. Look at this timeline, it's brutal. Messenger number 1 shows up. Raiders stole his oxen and donkeys, killed the servants. Before he's even done speaking, Messenger 2 arrives. Fire of God burned up all 7,000 sheep and their servants. Then Messenger 3, another group of raiders, stole all 3,000 camels and killed more servants. And then, the final absolutely crushing blow. A fourth messenger runs up, breathless, to tell him a great wind collapsed the house where all 10 of his children were feasting, and they're all dead. All of it, in one day.
So everyone is watching. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna scream? Is he gonna shake his fist at the heavens? You'd expect him to just lose it, right? But instead, Job tears his robe, shaves his head, and falls to the ground and worships. It's one of the most stunning moments in all of literature. He says, "The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." He just acknowledges that everything was a gift, and he chooses to bless God anyway, proving the accuser completely wrong. But the accuser? Oh, he's not finished. Not by a long shot. At the next divine council, he doubles down. He argues, okay, sure, he lost his stuff, but his own health is still intact. He says, skin for skin. Touch his bone and his flesh, and then he will surely curse you. And God agrees, but with one limit. Job's life must be spared. So the accuser strikes Job with these agonizing, painful boils from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head.
Can you even picture this? Job is cast out of the city, sitting in a pile of ashes, literally scraping his open wounds with a piece of broken pottery. He's lost his wealth, his children, his health, his dignity, and then even his wife, who's shattered by her own grief, comes to him and says, "Are you still holding on to your integrity? Just curse God and die." He is now utterly and completely alone.
Well, news of this total disaster travels, and 3 of his friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, show up. And at first, they do something really incredible. They just sit with him in total silence for 7 days and 7 nights. But the moment Job breaks his silence, not by cursing God, but by cursing the day he was born, That's when the gloves come off and the great debate begins. See, for Job's friends, their whole argument is actually pretty simple. They believe the universe is a just place. God blesses good people and he punishes wicked people. End of story. So in their minds, since something this awful happened to Job, well, he must have some secret sin. He must have done something to deserve it. Because if an innocent person could suffer like this, well, that would mean the universe is chaotic and God isn't fair, and that idea just terrifies them. Eliphaz, who's the oldest, kicks things off. He even claims he had a special vision, and he asks Job this really loaded question. Remember now, whoever perished being innocent. His point is crystal clear. You reap what you sow, buddy. And as the debate drags on for chapter after chapter, the friends just get more and more aggressive, even accusing Job of specific, totally made-up sins, like oppressing the poor or turning away the thirsty. Also their neat little formula for how the universe works can stay intact.
But Job knows he's innocent. And he is done being a patient victim. He's turned into a desperate prosecutor. He feels like he's being assaulted by God and totally betrayed by his friends. So what does he do? He demands a trial. He wants to take God to court, to argue his case face to face and force God to explain himself.
So after all these endless rounds of debate, a storm starts to brew on the horizon. The time for human words is officially over. And then, suddenly, out of this spinning, violent whirlwind, God finally speaks. But let me tell you, it is not the answer anyone was expecting.
Yeah, God doesn't explain the wager, he doesn't apologize, he doesn't answer Job's why. Instead, he answers Job's questions with a whole flood of his own questions. He basically takes Job on this virtual tour of the universe, asking, "Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth?" He's completely challenging Job's tiny, human-centered point of view, showing him a cosmos that is so vast, so complex, and operates on principles way beyond what any human could possibly understand.
I mean, he just keeps going. He asks Job if he can control the stars. Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades or loose the belt of Orion? He points to the weather, to wild animals like the mountain goat and the wild donkey that no one can tame. He's painting this picture of a world that was not designed solely for human comfort. It's a world full of wild beauty and dangerous freedom, a world that Job can't possibly control or even begin to grasp. But God's not done yet. He's about to bring out two special exhibits.
So first up, God points to this creature called Behemoth. Now, some scholars think this might just be a poetic description of a hippopotamus. But in the ancient world, it represents so much more. It's this unstoppable land monster, a symbol of the wild, untamable power of creation itself. No human can control this thing, but God says he kind of just plays with it.
And then, for the grand finale, God points to the sea and introduces Leviathan. Now, in a lot of ancient myths, the sea dragon was this symbol of chaos and evil that the good gods had to kill just to create the world. But here, God's message is totally different. He doesn't say he destroyed Leviathan, he says he created it and he manages it. The message is pretty clear. Yeah, the world has real monsters in it, but those monsters have a master. They are on a leash.
After that whole cosmic tour, Job is just humbled, speechless. He never got an explanation for his suffering, but he got something way more profound. And that leads us to the story's powerful conclusion. So what does Job say? I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees you. See, his questions aren't answered with some neat formula. They're answered with a personal encounter. Just seeing God in all his majesty is enough. He realizes he was talking about things he didn't really understand. And when he repents, it's not for some secret sin. It's for his own self-righteousness. He realizes his own goodness is just nothing compared to the awesome reality of God. And then comes the final, shocking twist. God turns to the friends, the ones who are supposedly defending him, and he rebukes them, not Job. Why? Because Job, in all his raw, messy, angry complaining, was at least honest. He was speaking to God. The friends were just speaking about God, with their neat, tidy, and totally wrong theology that tried to put God in a box. It turns out, God valued Job's authentic, messy struggle way more than their false certainty.
So, what's the point of this whole story? Well, it's not simple. There are a few ways to look at it. The standard interpretation is that, we just have to trust God's infinite wisdom, which is way beyond ours. Suffering is a mystery we have to accept. But there's a deeper interpretation, too.
Maybe the point is that true faith isn't about how good we are, but about seeing how absolutely sovereign God is. Maybe God had to completely break Job's self-righteousness so that he would learn to rely only on God, not on his own goodness.
In the end, yeah, Job gets everything back and then some. But the book leaves us hanging with this one last, huge question. Job never found out about the cosmic wager. He never got his why. But that encounter in the whirlwind, it changed everything. He didn't need to know the reason anymore, because now he knew the one who holds all the reasons in his hands. And maybe, just maybe, that's the only answer that really matters.